Hi, welcome to Cakes and Aprons. This is Jeannie, and today in my kitchen we will be making a cake from the 1950s. So, thanks for traveling back in time with me. We are going to make a Valentine's Day cake. It was specifically called the Cherry Party Cake. This is found in a 1958 magazine, and this Cherry Party Cake is an advertisement for Sarasota flour. Someone in 1958 might have offered this cake as a token of love, or who knows, maybe it was accompanied by a sweet Valentine card. So let's look at some of the history of Valentines from the 1900s to the 1950s. By the 19th century, Victorians would give printed Valentines, sort of what we're used to today. But often in the Victorian era, it was done anonymously. Because most Valentines were delivered anonymously during this time period, there was a certain kind of Valentine that gained popularity. It was called vinegar Valentine, which were not kind at all. It was kind of like the 19th century version of hate tweeting from an anonymous account. Vinegar Valentines insulted the recipient's physical traits, profession, or in this card in particular, it was the lack of a marriage partner. This one suggests, oh, well, here is a mustache, but it would be much better if the mustache was attached to a man. This one was to be given to the new woman, perhaps the feminist of the time that felt like she didn't always need a man around. So this was to put down the woman without the man. Well, the Industrial Revolution began producing factory made cards, and by 1913, Hallmark cards began mass producing Valentines. In 1920s, the decade may have roared, but the invitation to join this lass on the love seat was shy and sweetly coy. Also in the 1920s, the color on this one and other Hallmark cards through the 1920s and 30s were applied by hand. The printing process did not include color at this time. Here's one from the 1930s, Rub-a-Dub-Dub. What's that at the tub? It's a washboard, which were common in households before washing machines were widely available. In the 1930s, even with patched pants, love prevailed in this Depression Days Valentine. And in 1940s, it says, "From me, your little sweetie pie, who really truly loves her guy," is the message inside this Valentine from a wife to her husband. This Valentine from the 1950s was created to send to somebody in service of the Korean War. And by the 1950s, after World War II, Valentines were much more similar to how they look today. You could give Valentines to friends. Valentine cards were made to give to a newborn. Even classroom cards. You could go get a package set from the local drugstore with Valentines that included a card for the teacher and cards for all the other kids. So let's look at more of these cards, the Hallmark cards or other cards from the 1950s. And now it's time to make our token of love, this pink frothy chiffon cake, the Cherry Party Cake from 1958. You will need 2 cups of sifted unbleached flour, 3 teaspoons of baking powder, a teaspoon of salt, 1.5 cups of sugar, a half a cup of cooking oil, 7 egg yolks unbeaten, a half a cup of cold water, a fourth a cup of cherry juice, which I just used the maraschino cherry juice from the bottle, 7 egg whites, teaspoon of cream of tartar, and of course the 1 8-ounce bottle of maraschino cherries. So the first thing you need to do is sift together your dry ingredients in a large mixing bowl. The flour, baking powder, salt, and sugar. In this, make a well. Place oil, egg yolks, water, and cherry juice in that order into the well. Beat until smooth. I also added a little bit of red food dye. Next, you have your 7 egg whites, which I was keeping in the refrigerator to keep them cold. Add your teaspoon of cream of tartar and beat until high peaks form. And then you will fold this egg white mixture into the rest of your cake batter mixture. Then cut up your maraschino cherries and gently fold these pieces in. Pour everything into an ungreased 10-inch tube pan. Make sure it's ungreased. You bake in the 325-degree oven for 40 minutes. Then increase the oven temperature to 360 degrees for 15 minutes. You will see that the cake will test done with a large toothpick. Then you invert your cake and then let it cool off. It will remove from the pan pretty easily. Next, you frost it with a buttercream icing. I will leave that recipe in the link below. Use the remaining cherry juice to tint the icing pink. I added some red food dye. I added a little too much. I was only trying to do 3 drops of it, but I got heavy-handed with it and it ended up being a lot darker than I wanted it to, but still pretty. Here it is. So you decorate it, add some cherries to the top for decoration. So I didn't chop up every single one of the cherries. I leave some whole. It looks like from the cake in the advertisement, they might have either found heart candies or they cut out cherry maraschinos in heart form. Our Valentine cake is ready, the cherry party cake. Now we get to try this cake. This is a chiffon cake, and the last time I made a chiffon cake, it fell, so it didn't turn out this tall. So I'm so happy that this one is really tall. Oh, look, and you can see the little cherries inside. It is super pink. It just says and tastes like Valentine's Day. I love it. I love it. It really tastes like Valentine's Day. Pink and fluffy and a little bit sweet. Happy Valentine's Day. See you next time on Cakes and Aprons.